What is up, everyone? Welcome to round 5 of the Portland Monthly Premodern Paper Magic Afternoons May 2025 tournament. We got 2 rad decks to show you, so let's get into those deck lists. First up, we have Marshall with Mono Red Sneak. Namesake of the deck is, of course, the 4-drop Sneak Attack, which is half of the infamous Sneak and Show Legacy deck that I don't think is really a thing anymore, which is kind of sad. Well, Marshall's trying to rebuild at least half of it here in Premodern. If you're not familiar with Sneak Attack, it is a 4-drop enchantment that has pay a red. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. That creature gains haste. Sacrifice the creature at the beginning of the next end step. So essentially, you're trying to pay a single red to drop the biggest fatties that ever existed in the Premodern format and swing in for hopefully lethal damage, or at least get a really good ETB effect. So which creatures did Marshall pick for his Sneak Attack deck? First up, we got Butcher Ogre, a 6-drop 6/6. You may divide Butcher Ogre's combat damage as you choose among defending player and any number of creatures they control. Potentially a one-sided board wipe. Does not matter if it's blocked. He could just choose to deal all 6 straight to the opponent or blow up all of their creatures. Next up is Crater Hellion, a 6-drop 6/6. Does have Echo 6. When it ETBs, it deals 4 damage to each other creature, so a true creature board wipe. A 1 of Draco, which is a 16-drop that does get 2 cheaper for each basic land you control, has flying, and at the beginning of your upkeep you do have to pay something. We don't care about that because it's getting sacrificed anyways, but it is a 9/9 flyer for 16 and usually sees play in erratic explosion combo decks, and this is going to be important later, but on its face is still just a 9/9 flyer. Next up is for Dragon Mage, a 6-drop 5/5 flyer. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards, so Wheel of Fortune on a stick basically. And the big kahuna, probably what he's hoping to be sneaking in the most, Dragon Tyrant. This is a 10-drop 6/6 flying trample double strike, and it also has fire breathing, which means pay a red, give it +1/+0 till end of turn. It does have an upkeep cost too, but again, don't care about that. The other spicy part of this deck is the 3 of Pyromancy. This is a 4-drop enchantment that has pay 3, discard a card at random. Pyromancy deals damage to target creature or player equal to the total casting cost of one of the discarded cards. That is one of the reasons why Draco is in this deck, because sometimes you can just pay 3 and deal 16. It also makes pretty great use of all the other high cost drops this deck is running. A very cool backup to Sneak Attack and not something I've seen before. The rest of the deck is really just about ramping up and protecting the combo. For protection, we have 4 defense grids. For ramp and a little bit of card draw, we have 4 Mind Stones. Additional ramp in 4 Felwar Stones and 4 Lotus Petals. And as you'd expect, this deck is also just running a ton of Soul Lands. We have 4 Ancient Tombs, 2 City of Traders, a Crystal Vein, some amount of mountains, a little tough to tell, and the Red Depletion Land, whose name I'm blanking on at the moment. As for the sideboard, we do have some more interaction with 4 Pyroclasms, the 4th Crater Hellion, 2 Tormod's Crypts, 1 Flaring Pain, 3 Anarchies, and 4 Pyroblasts. Very cool list. Very excited to see how this plays, but before that, let's see who he's playing against. Next up is Joe with his latest version of Recycle Elves. Quickly, before we get in the list, if you haven't seen a Joe list on camera before, I do want to call out that Joe does not look at online lists. He does not net deck. He looks at the available card pool and brews based off that. Well, that, and of course, whenever he sees an interesting card played against him. That means he's not up on meta. He's not building meta decks. He's brewing with his favorite cards for the fun of the game, and that's honestly his goal when he's playing these, and that's one of the reasons why I love having it on camera, because he comes up with some wild and wacky shit. And yeah, that's basically his approach to Magic, and it's fantastic. So with that out of the way, let's dive into the list. And at first glance, you may think this is a survival elf deck because it is running 2 Kyrian Rangers, 2 Well-Wishers, 4 Findhorn Elves, 4 Landwar Elves, 4 Priest of Titania, 3 Wirewood Symbiote, and 2 Survival of the Fittest. Some of those numbers are obviously off of a traditional survival elves list, but then you get to the real win con the deck, 4 Killer Bees. This is one of Joe's pet cards, and if you're not familiar with it, that's totally fine, because I believe it only saw a print in Chronicles bringing it into Premodern legality. It is a card from Legends. It's a 3-drop flying 0/1 that has green, give it +1/+1 till end of turn. So Joe's real goal with this deck is to just make a boatload of mana and pump up Killer Bees to deal lethal damage. He also has a 1 of Timberwatch Elf as a potential alt win con, using all those elves as their own beat stick, and a 1 of Squee Goblin Nabob rounds off the creature threats and also enables the survivals. As for other interesting includes, there is a Concordant Crossroads, which does give all creatures haste, but works especially well with your mana dorks. a 1 of Worldly Tutor, which probably could be the 3rd Survival of the Fittest, but moving more into interaction, we have 3 Naturalizes, and a 1 of Jester's Cap in the main, which I will agree, I don't think sees enough play in Premodern. It's a bit too slow maybe for main deck usage, but against combo decks in the side, I think it could be absolutely backbreaking in the right deck, which Elves, I think, definitely is one of those. There is a little bit of tax effects here with 3 Winter Orbs, and a 1 of Ensnaring Bridge, which is important to note. Killer Bees can actually attack under Ensnaring Bridge and then get pumped after the fact. Cool little interaction there. And lastly, for the spells, there is 2 Coat of Arms, which I think is a kind of spicy include in a format where there is a lot of typal decks, even just incidental typal running around. As for lands, he is running 13 forests, 3 Gaia's Cradles, and 1 Yavimaya Hollow. As for the sideboard, and just the fact that Joe has a sideboard, I want to call out as being huge because that's something that he was working on, I know, fairly recently to be a little more competitive. He's got 2 Tranquil Dream, 2 Whirling Dervish, which is a old school staple and kind of cool that it's in here, 2 Crumbles, which are also very good in old school and I feel like do not see enough play in Premodern, 2 Nantuko Vigilantes, the 4th Naturalize, 2 Carpet of Flowers, 2 Compost, those paired with the Whirling Dervish, just kind of shows you how much black is in our local meta, 1 Druid Lyrist, and for maybe the spiciest include in this entire deck, Phyrexian Colossus. This is a super cool list. I've had the pleasure to play against Joe with this list and it's been very interesting to see how it's evolved over time. So enough talking about it, let's see it in action and get into those games. And here we go. Marshall is on the left, Joe is on the right. Really cool to have 2 very brew heavy decks on camera. This is round 5, but we are not taking from the top tables. As some of you may know, I do my best to hunt down the coolest looking decks in the room during these monthlies and get them on camera. And only during the top 8 or top 4, whatever, we end up breaking down to, do I actually use the top players? All right, little roll off to see who goes first. Looks like Joe's got it. And hope both players have keepable hands here. Joe does have a Killer Bees, a Recycle, Mana Dork. He has 1 land, it looks like. No need to mulligan there. I did call out in the deck tech. Having 17 lands is a bit light. Okay, looks like both players have keepable hands. And we're ready to go. And then Joe's leading us off, right? All right, Forest into Fintorn. Yep, and pass. Really cool signed Fintorn Elf there. Justin Hampton, a Portland local, I believe. Or at least in Seattle. All right, Mind Stone and an Ancient Tomb here for Marshall. Can't do anything with the extra mana. Just still have to pay 2 life for it. A second Forest there for Joe. We got 3 mana open. Are we playing the Killer Bees this early? Yep. Again, a pet card for Joe. Definitely not one you see very often, but can become a threat with lots of open mana. All right, there is the depletion land there for Marshall. I think it's like Needle something. I don't know. Anyways, it has 2 counters on it. Comes in tapped. You remove a counter and make 2 red. That's what it does. As some of you know, I'm horrible with lands. And Joe actually hitting his land drops here, speaking of lands. Just drawing land after land after land. So keeping a 1-lander actually paying off quite well. He does have a Winter Orb in hand. I don't think it's particularly good in this matchup, but we'll see. We'll talk about the signature, I think. All right, we're playing a Well-Wisher. Is that what's happening? Yep. Well-Wisher for turn. Joe does have a Naturalize in hand. Might be tempted to naturalize the Mind Stone. We know that he should wait until one of Marshall's win con enchantments hits the battlefield, but that is definitely knowledge that Joe does not have. Okay, he is going to naturalize the Mind Stone here. And Marshall's actually going to take 2 to crack the Mind Stone to draw a card. 2 life to draw a card, or to be net neutral on a card, I guess, is not the worst. I mean, your opponent goes down a card, so I guess it is actually a pretty good exchange. All right, and are we going to see a sneak attack or a pyromancy here? Doesn't necessarily look like Marshall has either in hand. Okay, he's going to play out a city here. Tap the city for... Oh, Felwar Stone. Okay, Felwar Stone is making green now. Gonna make 2 red mana. Another 2, so 4 floating. 5 floating, 2 red. Gonna use... Oh, do we have a sneak attack? We do. Alright, there's a sneak attack. 1 red floating. What are we playing? There is the Butcher Ogre, the perfect answer to all of these creatures. It does have haste. It is swinging in. Doesn't matter if you block it. It's probably killing all your creatures. So, it is a 6/6. It'll deal 3 damage to kill all those creatures and probably deal 3 to Joe, unless he's just going the full 6 at Joe, but I have to imagine, yeah. So Joe dropping to 17, say go. But now the real question is, does Marshall have another big threat? Unfortunately, Joe wasting his Naturalize a turn early. And now doesn't have much going on in hand. I think he's got a Well-Wisher. He can Winter Orb here. It looks like that is the play. That is pretty good, but unfortunately, Marshall has quite a lot of mana and even more red lands in hand. Alright, he's going to play out another one of the depletion lands. That will kill the city. And just going to say go. Does not actually have another creature threat right now to take advantage of sneak attack. Alright, there's a Well-Wisher for turn. Say go. Marshall going to untap his second depletion land. Did not draw a creature threat here, but did draw a mountain. Probably just going to play that out, save the depletion lands for when he potentially hard casts something big. Alright, there is a defense grid. Each spell costs 3 more to cast on your opponent's turn. Alright, Joe untapping 1 land here, thanks to his Winter Orb. There's a Priest. Gonna have to wait a turn to do that. Deciding if he wants to play out... No. Okay. He was looking like he wanted to play out his 1-drop. Opting for the Priest is probably the better play here. But pass to Marshall's turn. There's an Ancient Tomb. Marshall having all the mana in the world. I didn't see if he drew a threat, though. Doesn't look like it. Or is he hardcasting something here? Nope, just gonna pass. Alright, Joe gonna gain a life here thanks to the Well-Wisher. Don't forget you get to untap a forest. Yep, now has 2. Marshall being a good sportsman there. Alright, tapping 2 for the Priest. Say go. Marshall drawing for turn, really just needing any threat, and he's got a lot, most of which he can just hard cast at this point. It actually kind of looked like he may have even had a Crater Hellion in hand and maybe just wanting a few more creatures to actually play it out. Alright, taking 2. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or 6, I guess. Is it? It is. He's just hard casting the Crater Hellion, deals 4 damage to each other creature. Priestess Titania and Well-Wisher are toast. In response, Joe is going to tap the Well-Wisher. Now, the Crater Hellion does not have haste because it was not sneak attacked. Okay, there's a Landwar Elf. Say go. Also, notably, when he does cast it, hard cast it, it does have Echo. He's going to be paying that here. Both of the depletion lands will be fully depleted. And Marshall now just has a 6/6 on the field. That's going to be pretty tough for Joe to deal with. Alright, swing for 6. And say go. I believe that was a coat of arms there for Joe. Alright, tapping 2. Or just 1, I guess, for the Wirewood Symbiote. I'm not sure why he paid 2 there. Yeah. I'm not sure what they're discussing necessarily. Interesting. I'm not sure why he paid 2. I think Joe may be realizing he's in a bit of trouble. There is a Draco there for Marshall. He can just sneak attack it in. Get 9 in the air guaranteed. Yep. Unfortunately, Joe not having a lot going on. A little trapped under his own Winter Orb, actually. Unfortunately, playing against a deck with a lot of mana rocks and a lot of soul lands. Alright, Marshall paying a red here to sneak in the Draco. And if Joe doesn't block, it's lethal, but he has the Wirewood Symbiote. But no matter what, Draco's getting in for 9. Does have haste because of sneak attack. But also 6 on the ground. You can block the 6 on the ground. Alright, Joe gonna chump block the Crater Hellion. Back when Magic was a little more stingy with what creatures had trample. Draco will get sacked and pass back. Ooh. There is the bridge. And again, I'm not sure why Joe tapped down a forest and an elf to play the Wirewood Symbiote. If he didn't tap down the forest at this point, he would have the 3 mana to play out the bridge. Oh, we're getting aggressive here, swinging in for 1. Oh, is that what happened? I think actually maybe Joe just attacked last turn. No, choosing not to do that. Just gonna pass back. Yeah, he's dead if he does that, for sure. But he's dead anyways, because there's a Dragon Tyrant. We're swinging for 12 in the air, and we're gonna go game number 2. Okay, here we are in game number 2. Marshall getting to showcase exactly what the sneak attack deck does, but now Joe is a little more aware of what the game plan is and has some good sideboard answers. Alright, looks like Joe's got a keepable hand. Marshall... Not sure if I see a sneak attack, but maybe there's a Pyromancy in there. That is the other win con of the deck. Okay, looks like he is actually going to be mulliganing here, and we're going to cut to when he has a keepable hand. But it looks like Joe will be keeping. All right, Marshall looking to keep 6 here. Probably just wanting to mulligan until he has either the sneak attack or a Pyromancy. And looking at a lot of mana rocks. There's a sneak attack right on top. All right, this is... Ooh, and he brought in a pyroclasm from the side. Did he actually put a sneak attack on the bottom? Does he have more than one? An embarrassment of riches. All right, there's a Kyrian Ranger. Joe starting us off. Mountain go. No mana dorks actually in Joe's hand, so I think just getting in for one here. He does have a naturalize though. Marshall did see that last game. Alright, there's a depletion land. Let's say go. I think Marshall very smartly holding up his sneak attack until he can play it and activate it same turn. I don't know what he has in terms of threats in hand currently. He has 2 Felwar Stones. Okay, there's a Cradle. Tapping for 3 total. And there's a Bees. And it's got to be pretty tempting for Marshall here to Pyroclasm. Make 2 red for a Felwar Stone. Tap 2 for a Felwar Stone. Felwar Stone can only make green. I'm just going to pass it back. Alright, Joe getting a little flooded here actually, which is surprising again. I was giving him a little bit of crap for 17 lands, but is having no problem drawing him. Actually has 2 of his 3 guys cradles in hand. Gonna swing with both of these guys. Gonna make 2 red or 2 green mana, 5 total. Buffing the Killer Bees to be a 5/5. Kyrian Ranger getting in for 6 total. And is this where you Pyroclasm? Or do you sneak attack here? Alright, making 2 red. This feels like a sneak attack. For the sneak attack, 1 red. Does he have an ogre? I think he does. Oh, that works too. Crater Hellion. Everything takes 4. Go to combat. You're going to take 6. The only problem here is now that Joe has a naturalize for that sneak attack. And I don't know if Marshall has a follow-up answer to it. He does have big threats in hand, but not enough mana yet to play it. There's a Well-Wisher, and are we going to see a naturalize? Yes, naturalize the sneak attack. And anything else? I guess he couldn't play out the Concordant Crossroads. That is kind of dangerous. You don't have a direct payoff for it. All creatures gain haste. Which, if Marshall had more mana up, would mean problems. Because he can just drop his own big creatures with haste. Alright, there's a city. Okay, there's 4 mana. Oh, he does have another sneak attack. Unfortunately, though, just has to pass. Does not have a red to activate it. Okay, there's another Killer Bees for Joe. A tap 3. And can actually get in here for 4 if he chooses. It does leave him open to an attack. But on the same side, 7 of Marshall's creatures can just board wipe him anyways. I think you swing in here. You're the aggressive deck right now. Yes, your opponent has a sneak attack out, but yeah, might as well get in. All right, we're swinging for both. Gonna make Killer Bees a 3/3. Swing for 4. And Marshall is down to 7. Marshall potentially dead next turn. If we didn't know about the, I think Butcher Ogre is what he has in hand right now. Alright, making 2 for a Mind Stone. Tap 1, gonna sack the Mind Stone. There's a Dragon Mage. Marshall also just has the Pyroclasm, but doesn't need it here either. There's a Butcher Ogre. Gonna deal 2 to the creatures, 4 to you. Joe's down to 10. Is that... okay, another forest. And Joe has nothing going on in hand, is just gonna pass it back. There's another mountain. Is that a Dragon Tyrant? Oh yeah, City Traders is dead. Okay, there's a Dragon Mage. There's a Dragon Tyrant. That is lethal, and Marshall just takes it down. Casual 17 damage. GG. Okay, well, unfortunately, Joe not getting to do much there, but Marshall's deck just absolutely popping off. That looks like a ton of fun. I might have to try and build that sometime. Thanks to all you guys for watching. If you made it this far, make sure to like the video. If you haven't yet, subscribing to the channel is one of the best ways to support the channel. And if you already are subscribed, consider joining the Patreon. Link is in the video description and also displayed on screen as well, along with the names of all the amazing patrons we have so far. Thank you so much for your support. Money from the Patreon goes towards gear upgrades, making better quality videos, and travel expenses to travel to tournaments outside of my home city. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.